Releasing the critical mind. Releasing the critical mind. As humanity evolved, the critical mind also evolved. Early on, it was primarily stimulated and informed from the environment by rhythm. The rhythm of the seasons, the human cycles, monthly, annual, the movement of herds, that cycle, that groove. Those rhythms became part of human nature because they connected humans to nature in a way that was non-intellectual. Although the critical mind, as it evolved and grew, became the dominant sensibility in the human organism. So we were fine for thousands of years in sync with the natural rhythms of the earth. And then along comes the Industrial Revolution, and suddenly we have to be in sync, entrained to a mechanical and unforgiving rhythm that is incessant, pervasive, and always judging. If you're not on the rhythm of the machine, of progress, of technology, then you will probably die. Now, this is an assumption by the critical mind that's not accurate, because it's looking at the rhythms of the environment, seeing how insistent and aggressive they are, and making assumptions about the survival of the human. The quickest way to release the critical mind from all of that judgment is by slowing down the tempo of a groove. That's what the downbeat's all about. That's that low tone right in the middle. As we lay back the groove, the critical mind jumps to the conclusion that this is a safer environment. Fine. As we slow down, the critical mind also slows down its processing speed. So about here, as we're slowing down the groove, we start to see the critical mind manipulating our belief system and our perceptions. It has been overstimulated to the point where it's trying to micromanage our whole operating system from an extremely ill-informed point of view. Because the critical mind is keyed off of rhythm. That's why we can slow it down like this. That's why commercials have soundtracks. By slowing down, we slow down the critical mind, and as it slows down, it starts to release. That's an automatic function of the critical mind. There's a list of priorities that the organism needs to release at some point. As we slow down, the list becomes more active and we can let go of things like anxiety, tension, regret, anger, fear, uncertainty, and various kinds of illness, primarily stuff that's instigated because of nerves. This is cooling out the nervous system. Now about here, a lot of people don't want to go any slower. It's not that they don't want to go any slower. The critical mind does not want to go slower because it fears losing control. But that's exactly what we want it to do, is to let go of control of all of our senses, our belief system, our body reaction, our movement, our creativity, all of the functions that the critical mind tries to control. So as we slow down, we start to see how the critical mind makes these snap judgments, especially when we go back and forth with our hands. This is mirrored hand activity, and this is hemisphere balancing. Brain hemisphere balancing creates this conduit to the unconscious. And we can start to realize that we have a huge capacity in the brain that we're not really using because it's backup. So now, with the advent of all this digital flood of digital data, the critical mind is assuming that it has to command more RAM in the brain, more operating processing energy is going to what the critical mind is deciding instead of the true I. The true I wants to be in love, wants to have fun, wants to dance, wants to feel a lot of good things in life, be creative, provide, be loved, all of the fun things that humans like to do. But the critical mind has always learned how to sneak in there and take control of that, using its priority list of if it decides, if the belief system decides that it's a dangerous environment, then the critical mind gets to shut down a lot of positive functions of the organism. And the reason the belief system thinks that they have to inject adrenaline into the system and create stress is because of the tempo of the environment. Here's an example. As we slow down, if you're playing a drum, what happens? If you slow down, you play softer. That's an assumption by the belief system. That's not true. It's not accurate. When you slow down, you do not have to play softer. So what we're doing here is we're repatterning the belief system using rhythm. On this point, as you slow down, you can continue to stay strong, because it's also rooted to another concept, that if we play softer, we're also weaker. That's also inaccurate. If you can play slow, that means you're very strong. You're able to stay focused and relaxed without speeding up. Because speeding up is a function of anxiety most of the time, unless you consciously decide to speed up. But we're down here at these slow tempos, these slow grooves, in order to release the critical mind's hold on our whole operating system. In the old days, we used mantras with meditation, but the problem with that is that by using a mantra, you're activating the critical mind. The intellect is active. But with this drumming meditation, the intellect completely goes into quiet mode. It doesn't have much activity at all. The body, the functioning body, continues to drum. And as a result, sends energy back up into the creative mind instead of the critical mind. Releasing the critical mind. Releasing the critical mind. Releasing the critical mind. releasing the critical mind, 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 and bring it down even more, releasing the critical mind, releasing the critical mind, releasing the critical mind, releasing the critical mind. Can you slow it down even more? Releasing the critical mind, 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 releasing the critical mind. Releasing the critical mind.